Good morning. Dr. Gary here on the road. We are dental practice brokers nationwide. We sell dental practices. So today's topic is confusion, chaos, no attorney used, and finally we closed the transaction. And now, peace. We'll get into this, what happened and the whole story. So, just the background, we are been doing the dental practice brokerage now for 12 years. We have 10 employees, and we're in 27 states, soon to be, I think, 29 soon. We have 2 more states, I think Ohio and Indiana soon. We have a team of 10 employees, including 2 CPA accountants. I believe we're one of the few dental brokers. I myself was a dentist for 25 years. And we have the 2 CPA accountants, which I think in our field is rare. Very few people have that. Plus we have operations director, marketing director, and 5 development acquisition specialists. So we got a pretty good team. We're here for you. Both buyer and seller, 363 days a year, and we only take off Christmas and Easter. We're also available from 7:30 a.m. East Coast time to 9:30 p.m. So if you need us, we're here. We answer the phone essentially every day, and we're excited to help you. We enjoy what we do, we're excited about it, and we've had some very good results over the last 12 years. Plus an extraordinary amount of experience, but we're still learning. You never stop learning, because in this field, it's just unbelievable how every deal is different. The information you're about to hear is for entertainment purposes. It is not legal or business advice. So please remember that. And if you are thinking about selling to a large DSO, your practice is over 900,000 or something like that, we can help you, because the DSOs that we work will often pay our commission. We're independent. We're not in business with any DSO, because we want to pick and choose which ones. But if you're thinking about selling them, they're going to pay our commission majority of the time, and sometimes we get your legal fees reimbursed at closing. We've done that multiple times, so we'll help you there. But getting back to what happened, I'm like worn out. I'm so tired. And so are the attorneys and everybody involved in this recent transaction. It was a closing that we had. Successful at the end, but getting there was like just chaos, confusion, nightmare. You had a buyer that was hot, cold, wanted to be aggressively moved forward, and then not. You had a practice that didn't cash flow as well, therefore required some owner financing. Had some issues with the cash flow. It was a good practice, but the cash flow, the way the banks looked at it, was challenging. So the owner got involved in the financing, which was wonderful. And the owner also owned a building, made it even easier. But there was a buyer that decided not to use an attorney. Then the buyer decided, okay, we will use an attorney. Then they didn't use an attorney. Then they did use an attorney. Then they didn't use an attorney. That's, in the end, they never used the attorney. They had a financial, let's call it, advisor that was pretty sharp. Not an attorney, but pretty sharp. So you had the seller being represented by great dental attorneys, a team of 2 of them, and the buyer with no dental attorney. So the seller's attorneys had to communicate with the buyer's advisor, I guess you'd call it, financial advisor, to try to negotiate a deal. And it was hard. The financial advisor was knowledgeable, but admittedly not an attorney. So it was like hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold. Oh, we're going to close? We're not going to close. We're going to close? We're not going to close. And then the buyer was running, hot. Let's get this deal done. Let's get it done. Then the buyer ran cold and would sit on things for 3 weeks. And the buyer would get hot. Okay, let's get it closed. And then it was a freaking nightmare. It is so exhausting now. I know you hear about these stories about seamless transition. I think they use that terminology. Yeah, tell me about it. This was anything but a seamless transition. There was so many moving parts, so much aggravation, so many delays, so much confusion, so much chaos. And it wasn't the seller's fault. The seller had great attorneys. But I think it was pretty much driven by the buyer and the buyer refusal to use a dental attorney. So any of you who think you're going to go into a transaction by using some pre-made contract, it's like, forget it. And if you think it's going to go seamlessly, and I'm doing this for 12 years now, 12 years using all my experience and essentially working 24/7, and I did the best I could in the middle to negotiate, but I'm not an attorney. But I sat in the middle and tried to help and move things forward, keep the buyer motivated, the seller motivated. The seller, I mean, I could understand how long the seller would, how long could they hang in there for, and how frustrating it was for the seller. But you got to keep the seller motivated. At the same time, you've got to drive the deal forward. And if there's too much time that sits on a deal, deals fall apart. And this would have fallen apart. I believe because of my team, my involvement, I was helpful. I wasn't the only one, but I was helpful keeping the deal going, keeping the deal alive, keeping everybody motivated. I mean, it was hard, and you are wiped out. The attorneys are wiped out, the buyers wiped out, the sellers wiped out, financial advisors wiped out. It's like, I am definitely wiped out. It takes you a while to recuperate from these things. It's not easy. But in the end, yes, success. You will have success. I inspire you to keep going, just to be acknowledgeable that these deals have a lot of moving parts. You got 10 moving parts. Often, there were less moving parts, but still a lot of aggravation. You will get through it. It will work out great for you. The one who wins in the end is always the buyer. The buyer is the winner because the buyer is buying a business which is generating income. Success rate of these, as I've mentioned many, many times, continues to be 99.75%. Nobody fails. They fail if the buyer gets involved in drugs or alcohol. If the buyer goes in and fires all the staff, or if the buyer goes in and tries to change a PPO 100% or 90% PPO practice overnight to a fee-for-service practice. It's not that you can't do that, but it has to be a slow transition. You need the financial income to keep the place going. And you can slowly transition by getting the proper marketing, advertising, website, and slowly do it. Yeah, you could slowly do it, but not overnight. So those are where your failures come from. But we have harmony now. We have peace now. The deal's over. And I called it amicable resolution that we finally got. Everybody settled down. After the closing, we just settled down. But it was tough. It was really tough. And there's no banks involved either. So it was the owner financing pretty much, which we generally don't do, but circumstances sometimes, if the deal didn't cash flow, for whatever reason, there was valid reasons for it. But it was a very sound, financially rewarding dental practice. Still, the banks, under rare circumstances such as this, couldn't finance it. And I'm not a big advocate of seller financing, but sometimes you have to do that. Sometimes. Often not. Often you get 100% financing. But it worked out. It took me about 2 days, 3 days to recuperate because I'm so tired from it. But but it's all a learning experience, and you use these tools. That's what makes us different. We've done this so many times. We will get over your roadblocks. It doesn't matter what you throw at us. We've been there, done that. It may be new each time. I never had one specifically like this, but there's always a roadblock. There's always a bump in the road. It is never easy. Some are easier than others. Some will close quicker than others. You'll hear stories. Oh, my closing went great. No, fantastic, flawless. Yeah. That could happen. Of course, hopefully you've had great attorneys on both ends. And contrary to what people say, attorneys screw up the deal, they don't screw up the deal. It's much more challenging without attorneys, with knowledgeable attorneys. Knowledgeable attorneys know how to get through things. Under this circumstance, we had a knowledgeable attorney on the seller side, and that helped us move forward. We didn't have it on the buyer side. But you got to be aware that it's not easy to get these things done, but it is successful. You will be successful in the end. So get ready for the next video. We always have new ones coming on. We're going through another one. It's a kind of challenging now. It has some chaos to it. We're trying to straighten out the chaos. We've had to go to a conventional bank because of this. More of a banker, broker, you'd call it, a money broker, who could put their arms around things. Sometimes easier than a bank, and has more tools at their disposal than the bank does, and under this next circumstance. So listen up for the next YouTube. So we'll have that coming up soon. And you may find that interesting too, and hopefully you could use this information. And if you don't run into all these problems, that's great. But if you do, at least by listening to our YouTubes, you're prepared for it. And you at least know, okay, there's going to be bumps in the road, there's going to be chaos, I'm going to be ready for it. I'm going to be ready for the closing to take significantly longer than you expect it to do. If you're ready for those things, it's going to work out. It's going to help with planning. You have like a plan B. You'll maintain, you as a buyer, maintain your present job. Never quit your present job. I'm not an advocate of that. Maintain your job until the closing. And then keep working at your second job, because you don't know how the new practice is going to go. Maybe you'll have to work significantly more hours, put a lot more time into the practice, keep your other job, and then phase away. And you don't want to leave your employer overnight either, because, you may have more free time than you think at the new practice as you build it. But you're going to do great no matter what. Your success rate is going to be great. We're there. That's what I believe what makes us different. I hung in there with this last closing, which is a friggin' nightmare. But I hung in there right to the end. Right to the end, I didn't stop. And you can't just give up. You have to have a broker that's going to be there for you, is going to weather the storm, is going to see light at the end of the tunnel all the time, is going to push the team forward, motivate. I believe that's what we're capable of, because I have a great team behind me. So it should work out great. But listen to the next podcast. Looking forward to seeing you soon. It is the end of fall, but it's still a beautiful day. I still can't believe we got through that closing. Whew. I'll see you, team. Bye.